What is up, Sooner Nation? Welcome back to the Sooner Surge. And it is official. Jeff Lebby is out as the offensive coordinator at the University of Oklahoma and in as the head coach at Mississippi State. Something that was expected the last 24, 48 hours. Everyone knew this was about to happen. Well, it's officially happened now. The Sooners can now move on, and I'm sure they've already started doing that. But congrats to Jeff Lebby is what I would say first. 2 years in Oklahoma, spent at OU, and really kept the offense as one of the premier offenses in the nation, and did his job as far as coordinating that offense and keeping it elite, because it was a top 10 offense the 2 years he was here. And now he used that as a stepping stone to a head coaching job where he's familiar with that state in Mississippi, and has a chance to probably get some guys in there. Will Rogers has already entered the portal. Whether or not he comes back with Lebby now being announced, or they go get someone else, that'll be interesting. But more importantly, who cares about what happens with Mississippi State? It's what's going to happen at OU, guys.
Right, and as you said, he accepted the head coaching job at Mississippi State. This is kind of a job in which I think maybe isn't like a destination job for Lebby, but it's somewhere where I think that if he gets his career off on the right foot, he can eventually get that higher job, maybe like the Florida job or Florida State. You talk about these bigger name programs. So I think honestly, to Lebby, this is probably a chance just to go and prove himself as a head coach to get up to that higher stepping stone as a future coach.
What about OU, though?
And where OU goes from here, I mean, I know a lot of people are thinking Seth Littrell is a viable option. Obviously, he's been OC at places. He's been a head coach. He knows OU. He knows the players. He's been there as an analyst this year. You got to think he was brought on as an analyst, not only just to be an analyst, but also if something like this happened, maybe they roll into him. That's a viable option. I think Venables will look elsewhere. I think that will be an option, but I do think he's going to interview a few people. And the guy that I've talked about for, 3 weeks, I think my opinion is you have to go interview him, and that's Willie Corn out of Liberty. Top 6 offense in the nation, and he's done it at Coastal Carolina, now at Liberty. I think he's an up-and-coming guy. I think he'd be worth an interview. You got a Clemson connection. I think that's a name to watch for, maybe to get an interview. I'm not saying that would be a hire, but I think that's a name I would throw out there.
Yeah, I would say Seth Littrell's the most viable option because he's already on staff right now. Willie Corn, like Jay mentioned, would be great, but the simple truth is you have to make a hire quick. Transfer portal opens up on December 4th, and then early signing days in the middle of December.
Are you saying they can't make that hire quick if it's outside the program?
I mean, they can, but it's easier to make a quick hire within the program than to go outside of the program. But regardless, you have to be able to make a decision as quick as possible with the way that the end of the season is set up in college football. You don't have time to sit and waste because recruits, transfers, all that, they're not going to sign somewhere where there's uncertainty at a coordinator position like this. But regardless, I think OU has a lot of good options there, like to have Seth Littrell on staff already, who's proven he had a really good offense at his last OC job when he was OC in North Carolina back in 2015. They were top 16 in the country then, was really good at times at North Texas. I know he has that Arizona connection back in the day with Bill Bedenbaugh. So I think Littrell is just the hire that makes the most sense all around.
All right, and it makes the most sense for many reasons, in my opinion. The viable option thing, he's much more than a viable option, Jay. He's actually, like Hunter said there, he's been proven, and the schools he's proven himself at, ACC, right, North Carolina. You had a Big Ten school in Indiana. You had a Pac-12 school in Arizona. So these aren't small programs. He's done it in tough conferences. At Arizona, he was the 3rd offense in the nation. Had some talent there with Gronkowski and Nick Foles, but the guy has a great scheme. The run schemes that he puts out there is great. He's familiar with Bedenbaugh, the O-line coach. not just from OU. There's a whole lot that I think weighs the scale in favor of Seth Littrell. Now, am I saying they don't go and look at Corn? No, I think they possibly could, Jay. And I think Corn has some great things that he offers, but there's a lot there on the scale for Seth Littrell.
What other guys, Jackson, who do you think they could go after? Who would be a name?
A guy that I really like was someone that actually was maybe kind of thought for consideration back whenever Brent Venables got hired, and that's a guy in Brennan Marion. So, I mean, right, he's the OC at UNLV now.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that's another name. But realistically, as Jeremy and Hunter have said, I think the most viable option is Seth Littrell.
Well, and Brennan Marion was they were thinking more of him last year as a wide receiver coach
That's right.
before they got Emmett. But he's done really good things as the OC at UNLV. You can't deny that. And he's got some Oklahoma roots when he played at TU. So that is a good name to throw out there. Any chance Matt Wells from OU? I mean,
yeah,
I could see Matt Wells maybe getting like quarterback coach or
not
something
OC.
like.
Well, and that's
Yeah,
also
I think if you're going with somebody on staff, an analyst on staff, Seth Littrell's got to be the OC.
Hunter, give me a name outside the program other than Willie Corn. Who would be another one?
I was going to go with what Jackson said, Brendan Marion.
Jeremy, what about you? Outside the program.
I mean, I've looked at some of Corn's stuff. I like Corn a lot. So I just don't think, and again, that Seth Littrell is going to be looked past. And the relationships with the coaches and all those things. And the other thing is, you mentioned a guy. Look, one of the knocks on Jeff Lebby was his inexperience. And some of the guys you're mentioning, Brennan Marion, not experienced, 1 year. Willie Corn has more experience than that, and probably about like Jeff Lebby. But we're talking a guy in Littrell who's been very experienced.
When was the last time he called plays?
Multiple teams, and he's been a head coach. So he's also run a program.
He called plays at North Texas, didn't he?
That was Matt Wells.
Yeah, I'm asking when was the last time he called plays, Littrell? What year?
At North Texas, probably 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Did he call the plays there? Or did he have an OC?
I think he did most of the calling. I would have to look and see, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, and I've heard a lot of people, or I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying, "Hey, what about the Oregon offensive coordinator or Michigan offensive coordinator, Sherrod Moore?" Listen, why would they make a lateral move to OU? I don't understand that. They're at big time schools.
Yeah, and I think it would just be hard. It'd be even harder to sway Sherrod Moore already with Bill Bedenbaugh being the offensive line coach, and he could still want to coach offensive line. But I also think that something we need to think about is if Jeff Lebby does take Joe John Finley, and if you bring in Seth Littrell, he can also coach tight ends. So
yeah, I think
what you have open would be the quarterback's coach.
Yeah,
you're going to need to replace, so you could almost replace like 2 for 2. And I don't know if you would hire as QB coach, maybe Tanner Schaefer could get that.
Well, I think JP Lossman, or they got Matt Wells. They don't have to go elsewhere for a quarterback coach.
No, yeah, and Tanner Schaefer, he could get.
I think he'll go with Lebby.
I would think one of those is going with Lebby, and my guess would be Schaefer.
I would guess Schaefer would go because what Schaefer's doing right now, he's wanting the next step. So you would probably have to follow Lebby to get that.
So you think he'd be the full-time QB coach there at Mississippi State?
I think he could be. I'm not saying he will be, but I think he could be. And Joe John Finley's a very intriguing name to talk about because you got the big recruitment with the 5-star Devon Mitchell, who loves Joe John Finley, but I think there's a good chance he goes with Lebby. And I mean, you cannot just keep Joe John Finley because you want to keep Devon Mitchell. I don't believe in that.
Well, the other thing is, I know the assumption is Joe John Finley's gone with Lebby, but he could stay and coach tight ends at OU. Yeah. Now, if he's going to be okay with that, that's the question. Because him and Lebby, I know, are pretty tight, but obviously he could do the same thing he's doing now. It wouldn't be a demotion at all. But I don't think he's going to be a guy going to get it. If he's going to go be a coordinator with Lebby, he's probably got to take it at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I feel like if that's an offer for him, you have to take that. That's a stepping stone. You're going to be an OC at an SEC school.
Yeah.
You got to take that because, like Jeremy said, it's really just stay at OU as tight ends coach is all there is for Joe John as of right now.
And then I also know a lot of Oklahoma fans are concerned about Michael Hawkins, Jackson Arnold, Kevin Sperry. Obviously, we all have seen the quote from Jackson Arnold's dad. So I wouldn't be too concerned there. Now, maybe Brennan Zerberg would be the only guy I could see following Jeff Lebby to Mississippi State. But,
to me, Jeff Lebby's going – it's either Dylan Gabriel's going with him or he's going to go get another quarterback out of the portal. I mentioned to Jeremy earlier, KJ Jefferson from Arkansas. If he were to hire Kendall Briles as his OC, Briles coached him for 3 years at Arkansas, I think. So that would be a name. I think Lebby hits the portal for quarterback. And I don't think it's a guy that hasn't played much like a recruit. I think it's a guy that's experienced.
There's a quarterback in the portal that's from Mississippi State, and Will Rogers. I mean, you would have to think there's going to be a consideration for him to play for Jeff Lebby. Like, you enter the portal because you want to explore your options. It doesn't mean you have to leave per se.
All you got to do.
What about the Mississippi State quarterback a few years ago, Altmaier?
Yeah, no, he's at Illinois.
But he played for Lebby.
But
at Ole Miss.
Yeah. So I'm saying he could go get somebody with experience in his offense.
Jay, you would be outside of your mind as a quarterback to not go there. Look at what happened with DG under Lebby. Any quarterback's going to say, look at DG stats and say, okay, I'm going to go play at Mississippi State. He's going to get someone. It's not like he's going to be hurting for a quarterback. He's going to get someone. Jackson Arnold's not going there because Jackson Arnold wants to play at the University of Oklahoma, not Mississippi State. Okay, we know that. But he can go get a plenty good quarterback for his scheme.
Yeah.
I mean, so, guys, comment in the chat what you think OU's next move is, who's going to be at OC. Jeff Lebby has been announced. It's official. He is a Mississippi State Bulldog and no longer an Oklahoma Sooner. And there you have it. We'll see what happens in the next few days, maybe next few hours from OU side. But until next time, Boomer.